We do it for the fans.
We are here.
Do it for the fans.
I feel like it's been forever. I feel like I say that every time. But
I know.
It actually feels like forever this time because we had Christmas. So.
Yeah. We did so much Christmas, and now we are in the Capricorn season.
2022.
And go out with a bang.
Oh, man. So how has the start to your new year been?
It's been, very eventful, I would have to say. Remodeling is fun, but it's very challenging.
Yeah.
So if you ever decide to remodel, we can tell you what not to do.
For sure. Well, I personally have loved watching it. So,
oh my gosh.
Sucks for you. But
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I read this meme where it was like that 2022 is feeling like that ex-boyfriend we went back to in 2020 and 2021, and now we're giving him a third chance. I was like, oh my God, I hate to say it too, but it's starting out that way. Except I did just sell my old car, so that's great.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah. But that's about it.
Got you some money.
Yeah. Can't wait to pay off debt. So,
woo!
Yeah. But
yeah, no
other
kidding.
than that, and then just still fighting this sinus bullshit. That's about it.
We do it for the fans. Like I said, we are both sick.
Yes, we do.
Sinus shit going on, congestion. And we are recording.
And we are here for you guys. Alexa's even traveling right now. I don't even have a desk currently. I'm faking it. Like, this is the Hot Mess Express episode of 2022, guys.
It is the first episode. Well, no. Not the first episode of 2022. It's the second
But the first one we've recorded.
2022. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, the first one that we've recorded in 2022.
And this goes out like tomorrow. So you guys are getting this basically live, which we've never done. So I'm just like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, it's all good. Better late than never, right?
So
better late than never.
That's really the only updates I've got. So we do have a friend of the podcast. And we are going to start, we were just talking about it last minute, so I'm probably a little quick announcing this, but we're going to start doing little features. We have made some friends through this process, so we want to shout them out. They're going to shout us out. It's going to be this cool little thing and give you guys some variety in your podcast.
Yes.
So
it's so fun. I love it. I love everything about it.
And he's got a British accent. So.
Oh my God.
You're going to love it.
Amazing. Everything that he says is just, it makes it that much more fun or entertaining.
It's not like us, where we're like, oh my God. That was a horrible impression of us, but you guys get it.
Yeah, that was a terrible impression.
You get it.
Anyway, so, what are you sipping on over there?
Well, because everyone had such an issue with my redneck sangria, and I haven't been to the grocery store in literal weeks because I've been sick. I found a Quirk Tall Boy, and for people who aren't from this area, Boulevard Brewery.
Oh, they're so good.
Yes, Boulevard makes these, and they're amazing. I don't even know why I have this, but I was like, okay.
Oh, I loved them.
Oh, okay. Well, this is Alexa.
I loved them.
And I'm drinking it.
Thank you for Alexa, or I wouldn't have anything to drink.
And I don't know. It just didn't feel like a wine night. And I'm like, it was this or shots or wine. So went with a Quirk.
Shots or wine. Yeah, that's probably smart. I'm drinking out of a can as well. It's a rosé Cabernet.
It's so pretty.
I know, it's called Canteras. So my sister got him at the Canteras winery in Colorado.
Oh, I remember you and your mom talking about these.
Yeah.
And like,
they're good.
She was like, bringing them back in cases or something. maybe
Yep.
not cases, but
oh no, it was cases.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
We got them.
Awesome. So grab your drinks. As far as a drinking word, so I was like trying to rack my brain about who you were doing, and I remember you were like, don't look him up. So that being said, I'm going to do a generic drinking word because I can't even remember the name of who you're doing. So the drinking word is going to be murder.
Okay, like murder or kill or something.
Murder, kill, murdering, killed, kilt. I don't care.
Perfect. Kilt.
Don't kilt it.
Sounds good. Okay. So if you hear kill, killed, murder,
kilt,
murdered, kilt, take a drink.
I missed this.
Oh my God, that's great. I know, me too. It's been too long.
All right, do this disclaimer. Let's listen to some
murder. Let's get this shit on the road. All right. Our videos and podcasts are for entertainment purposes. All information discussed was found on the internet. Keep in mind, we will talk all things sinister that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. So, we are talking about John Edward Robinson. He was born December 27th, 2 days after Christmas, 1943. Known serial killer, kidnapper, con man. He's a Capricorn, so we are moving into Capricorn season.
Mm-hmm.
He was known as the slave master, internet slave master, or his alias John Osborne or Josh Osborne. So, kind of giving you an idea of this man, all around.
Okay. Wait.
Piece of shit.
Internet slave master? Oh, that was all one?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. My Nana was born in 43, so that'll kind of give me a little
an idea.
Age reference.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So we have 8 confirmed victims, but the number could be up in the 30s and 40s. Just FYI.
Yikes. Okay.
Yes.
And this is, sorry, what? Where are we?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
You'll,
Okay.
Wait, where are we?
Where am
I? Okay. Where am I at? So, John was born in Cicero, Illinois. We'll talk a little bit about his childhood here in a second, but again, he is a Capricorn. So we are kicking off Capricorn season, even though it's almost over, but hey. We had to focus on Christmas.
I know.
So
we could not leave out Krampus.
Yeah. No, we could not. It was so good. So, Capricorns are known for being the hardest workers of the zodiac signs. They technically love more, the most thing that they love is getting ahead in life. They seem to be ambitious and determined and strong. They will often keep going when others have given up. So it says they will walk 10 miles per others 1 mile. And they accomplish everything that they set their minds to do, regardless of the energy that it requires. So as long as they have a goal and a path, they are getting there one way or another.
Interesting. I know some Capricorns, and that definitely doesn't fit.
Really?
Yeah.
I know some Capricorns, and I would say it does.
Well, I'm thinking of, I guess, one Capricorn specifically who probably ruins it for everyone. You know who it is, too. It's a name that shall not be named. But anyways, we can move on.
Yeah. And it's not Amanda from Missouri.
It's not Amanda. So. It's a chill.
Chill with the DUH. Anyway, Capricorns, they are also earth signs. So it said that earth signs are practical, grounded, and dependable. People that don't take large risks, but rather they prefer the shore life, so they want to make sure that they have the stability. They're practical and conservative, yet fairly materialistic. So they like the finer things in life. They're constantly chasing money, but they always have their feet on the ground and their eye on the prize. So constantly looking for, that next thing. Mm-hmm. With John, I want to talk about three things: impulsive, brutal, and emotionally cold. So these are some negative, traits with Capricorns. With impulsive, if he wants something, he wants it right now, and he will not stop until he gets it. Brutal, especially whenever angered. Just brace yourselves for the impact.
Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be bad.
Yep, because they can be quite brutal, and they will do whatever they can, to get their way. And then emotionally cold, he tends to be very emotionally cold, and loving to their friends and family, but not so much to anybody else. So this zodiac sign can often come off as, just not really being emotional as well. So keep in mind, impulsive, brutal, and emotionally cold with Mr. John.
Yeah, sounds like a great guy.
Yeah, right? All around.
Yeah.
All around. We haven't even gotten started. Jeez. So John was born in Cicero, Illinois. He was the third of 5 children. His father was an alcoholic. In 1957, when he was 14 years old, he went to Quidley Preparatory Seminary School, which was a private boys' school for aspiring priests.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he ended up dropping out 1 year later because of disciplinary issues and making, bad grades and poor judgment calls.
Just like school. Normal kid stuff, or?
From what I read, it was normal kid stuff, but he also would get into fights, which was kind of strange because he had a good home life other than, his dad being an alcoholic, but it didn't ever say that his dad was abusive or anything, just that he was an alcoholic. So it didn't go into much detail about his childhood. We'll learn that John, he's still alive to this day, and he didn't really talk to any journalists or any reporters or anything. So a lot of his childhood is kind of unknown, other than some of these small details.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward to 1961. He's 18 years old. He graduated high school and he enrolled in Morton Junior College in Cicero, Illinois. He wanted to be a medical radiographer. So he wanted to work in healthcare for the very longest time. And however, he ended up dropping out 2 years later.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, right. Dropped out 2 years later. However, in 1964, he moved to your neck of the woods, Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yep. And this is where all of his murders were committed. First drink of the night.
Love that for me.
I know, huh? So he got a job at Children's Mercy Hospital. You know where that's at.
Right down the street. Great.
Right down the road from you. As an X-ray technician because he wanted to be in radiography. He was a con man. So basically he lied and said that he had his license to be a technician and that he graduated from Morton Junior College, even though he never did.
And they were just like, okay.
Well, back in the 60s, I mean, they didn't really check,
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were like, all right. Yeah. So he worked as an X-ray tech this entire time. He ended up marrying the love of his life, Nancy Jo Lynch. And a year later, they had their first child, John Jr. Then had a daughter in 67, so 2 years later, named Kimberly, and 2 twins in 71, Christopher and Christine. So husband and father of 4 kids by 71.
And up until this point, there's no like major red flags except maybe lying.
Well, we'll get there. So in 66, he ended up getting fired from Children's Mercy Hospital. He was stealing money. So again, he's a con man.
Yeah.
He was stealing money, and he was having relations with staff members and with patients.
Wait, patients or kids?
I don't know. It just said patients. It just said patients. So I would hope it's not kids, because he's not really into kids, but
okay, well, let's hope there just happened to be.
And I mean, if you think about it, at this time, he's young. He's like 24 years old.
But we're talking about Children's
like
Mercy
18,
Hospital.
19. Yeah, hopefully they were the parents.
Yeah,
I don't
hopefully.
know. Did not read about
true.
that.
It could be like the parents of the kids.
Right.
Yikes. Okay.
Right. Hopefully. Yeah, it didn't say that he was a pedo, but you never know. You never know. Anyway, so that was in 1966. He got fired, only worked there for 2 years. In 1969, so this kind of tells you the type of person that he is. He got caught again for stealing money and was sentenced to 3 years probation. So the court saw that he was a con man. They saw that he stole money. They saw that he did these things. And because he had never gotten in trouble before, they just sentenced him to 3 years probation.
And, okay, that would have been the perfect time, too, to catch him, not just for the money and all this other shit, but like, hey, you shouldn't be working here to begin with.
Right. Like, you don't even have your license.
What the heck?
You are not an X-ray technician.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great job, 60s.
Yeah. Great job, Casey.
Yeah. Way to go. Way to go.
In 1970, so a year later, he moved to Chicago without permission from, the probation office and violated his probation. Ended up going back to jail and being convicted of multiple charges at this time of theft, embezzlement, and fraud. So you're going to hear me jump forward to the late 70s and kind of jump between until the bigger events take place, because all the way from 1969 to 1991, I mean, this man was stealing shit, being fraudulent, forging names, all types of embezzlement from different companies, in and out of jail constantly. So there were so many red flags that led up to him actually murdering women.
Wow.
So.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird. It's kind of unique to start off as a con man.
Con man. Yeah.
Because that's a different kind of, that's different than being like a psychopath. I mean, I guess you could see it that way too, but it's one thing to steal money. It's another thing to I don't know. I just feel like that's a weird transition, but guess we're going to learn today. So
we are going to learn. And it is, because, I mean, if you think about like typical criminals, there are so many criminals that steal money, that embezzle, that do that complete fraud and do all these things, but they would never think about murdering anybody. Right. So it's like, it's almost like, and you'll kind of hear why whenever we get through some of the stories of, the victims and stuff, why he was so ready to kill, essentially. And it's just him constantly chasing, the finer things in life and trying to figure out what he's going to do next.
Fascinating. So, Okay.
No, I said kill, by the way. That was one thing somebody said. They were like, I love listening to your all's podcast because your drinking word should be, oh shit, every time. I'm like, I know.
It's like a bad reflex. I like can't.
Oh shit.
It's a horrible reflex. I've thought about that almost every time I say it. I'm like, quit saying that.
You're like, dang it. Oh, man. All right. So in 1977, John worked at a handicap service organization.
Okay.
He was on the board of directors, and this just kind of tells you the type of person that he is. He awarded himself the Man of the Year award. This ended up being a huge ordeal all around Kansas City and was on the news because he was signing documents. So he would send out documents to fake people, and they would sign it saying, we want John Robinson as Man of the Year. And he would sign fake names, so he would get awarded the Man of the Year as board of directors.
And people knew that?
Well, they found out what had happened a couple of years later.
Oh my God.
But that just goes to show, the type of man that he was.
Wow.
Yeah, anything that he can do to get his name out and to get that, sign of publicity or,
Well,
whatever.
And wasn't one of
he was a con man.
Capricorn things was like always wanting not to be ahead of, to always want to be ahead of things and be like the best at things or something along those lines.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah. Always wanting to be ahead.
Wow.
Yeah. So fast forward to 1984. This was his first murder.
I didn't say
it. Ooh.
Go me.
Good job, Kate.
I should be Man of the Year.
First victim, Paula, she was 19 years old. John hired her as a sales representative for 2 fraudulent companies that he created. So they weren't even companies. They were just fake companies. He was like, oh, I have ABC company and I want you to be a sales rep, even though he didn't have a company.
That's weird. We have an ABC company in Kansas City. There's a big old building.
Literally just like
right across from Home Depot. It's like a building that they didn't refurbish, and it says ABC really big on the building.
Wow, that's kind of weird. I literally just like thought of that. But so he hired her as the sales rep. She was Paula had told her friends and family that she was going to go away for training for a new job. She was never seen again. Her parents ended up filing a missing persons report. John was actually questioned by the police because, Paula had told her friends and family, like, hey, I'm interviewing for this company with this guy, with this person, and I'm going to go, away for training or whatever. John was questioned by the police, but he stated he knew nothing. A few days later, her parents received a typed letter with Paula's signature on it, like handwritten signature on it, stating that she was okay, and that she never wanted to see her family again and to stop trying to look for her. So the police dropped the investigation, dropped the missing persons report, and her body has never been found.
Oh my God, that is so sad. And I forget what I was reading it on, but it's like the code words when you get text messages that are like, hey, I never want to, don't come find me, I'm running away from my family. And it's like, establish a code word with your family so that if this ever happens, they know that this is a fake whatever. So
Right. Like, tell Sadie I love them, but there's no Sadie or something like that. Yeah.
So, so sad.
Crazy shit. It is. So, next victim in 1985, John started going by the alias, so his name was John Robinson. He started going by either John Osborne or Josh Osborne. He met Lisa. She was 19 years old. She was living at a homeless shelter in Kansas City with her 4-month-old daughter, Tiffany. He promised Lisa a job, an apartment, and a babysitter if she would move to Chicago and take this job out for one of his fake companies. He asked her at this time to sign many blank pieces of paper, apparently. And we later determined that this was a piece of evidence, used against him. Lisa's family recalled the last time that they had talked to her, they received a phone call from her. She sounded terrified. She said, and quote, "They are coming to get my baby. They said I'm an unfit mother. Here they come. They're here." And she hung up the phone. And that was the last thing. I literally have chills.
What the heck?
That was the last thing that she said to her family before, the phone was disconnected.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Family never heard from her again. They filed a missing persons report that day because they knew something was wrong. A few days later, John called his brother. His brother and his wife had been trying to have a baby for 5 years, and the wife just could not, get pregnant. And John said, "Well, I have a friend of mine who no longer wants a baby. I will do all the adoption. We will work through all the adoption paperwork for you. It's going to cost $5,500. All you need to do is send me $5,500. She'll sign all the paperwork. A judge will sign it. A lawyer will sign it, and I'll meet you with the baby." So the brother and sister-in-law agree. They give him $5,500. They saw that the adoption papers looked legit. Took baby Tiffany, and Lisa, the mom, her body has never been found.
Oh my God. And that's probably why, part of the whole signatures, needing all of that for the documents.
Right. Ultimate freaking con man. So, very, very impulsive when it comes to all of this. Clearly brutal, like I had said, about Capricorns, a negative trait. And just emotionally cold when it comes to, no emotion when it comes to her being a mother of a 4-month-old baby.
Wow.
None whatsoever.
That is crazy.
I know. And we'll talk a little bit about, Tiffany as an adult. She's still alive, and she changed her name. But we'll talk a little bit about her, too, later in the story.
Okay.
But
wow. I can't imagine.
Yeah, right? So, second woman that he killed that we know of. I think that was an ouch.
What are you talking about? What?
What? Wait, what? No, I
didn't hear anything.
So 1987, a woman named Catherine, she was 27 years old. She lived in Texas. She had moved from Texas to Kansas City to find a job. John ended up hiring her and promised her travel and new clothes. A few months later, she vanished. A missing persons case is still open. He killed her, and her body has never been found.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's like he went all this time not doing any of this. And then all of a sudden was just like, you know what?
All of a sudden. Level. Yep.
Wow.
So from 1987 to 1993, John was in prison for fraud. So 5 years on and off in prison for fraud and parole violations. So obviously, he didn't kill anybody while he was in prison. However, him and the prison librarian, Beverly was 49 at the time, they fell in love while he was in prison. When John, I know.
Oh my God.
It's so ridiculous.
I just can't.
I know.
Can you imagine? You know what they've done, and you also see them like at their lowest. You don't ever. I just don't know how that happens. But
and John is still married to Nancy at this time.
Oh yeah,
like he's having all these relations with these other women, and he's still married to her. And Beverly, the librarian, is married too. So it's like, what the hell? It's just so freaking crazy.
I don't understand the fall in love with the prisoner thing. Like people on the outside that fall in love with the
writing in.
I just can't. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't understand it. Whatever floats their boat, right? So when John was released, Beverly divorced her husband. She moved to Kansas City with John. And her alimony checks from her divorce were being mailed to her, to a P.O. box in Kansas City, where John ended up cashing these checks for years. Beverly was never heard of again after moving. And her body was found, obviously he killed her. Her body was found in a storage facility in Raymore, Missouri. So right outside of Kansas
Okay, I was going to say, isn't that close? So he murdered her. He gets out of prison.
Just to get her money.
She gets divorced. And does he stay with his wife?
Yeah.
And just collects the checks. And no one's like, hey, we haven't heard from Beverly.
Nope, not for years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So, still that year in 1993, online chat rooms are starting to become a very big thing, in this time.
Oh, yeah. Instant messenger, baby.
Yeah. Right?
You know what I was thinking? Like, all these kids think that, like, emojis and, GIFs are, like, a new thing. They are not. So, back in our day, we had a combination of the two.
Oh, we did.
And you didn't have, like, selfies. You just had, like, little graphic images that were, like, this big.
Oh, yeah. They were the best.
And it was very...
Remember, like...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, it was very important when you were instant messaging, like, that you had the right font, the right color of font.
Oh, yeah.
That your message, your status was always, like, set appropriately.
100.
It wasn't like, I'm about to go to lunch. It was like, I'm available to talk.
No.
Very important stuff.
Hit me up.
Single, ready to mingle.
Yes. Oh my God. It was the best. I remember like coming home after school and you like first thing you log online to the computer and you see if you have any IM from anybody.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my God.
And you just wait for their little circle to turn green and then you're like, oh, hey, notice you just got online.
Oh my God. Yeah. What are you doing?
My mom says I have 5 minutes. What's up?
Did you see so-and-so's status? How dumb.
Oh my gosh. Instant messenger.
It was perfect. It was the best. Before texting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, before any of that.
Oh, yeah. Crazy.
Kids don't know.
So crazy.
Anyway, so 93 chat rooms start becoming a big thing. We just explained it for those that don't know what a chat room is. John would use the name Slave Master. So this is where he got that name, Slave Master.
Okay.
He would basically be looking for women in BDSM chat rooms that wanted to be like fulfill a rape fantasy sexually. So that's kind of where this whole addiction starts, is in 93. His first victim, her name was Sheila. She was 45 years old. She had a 15-year-old daughter named Debbie. Debbie was wheelchair bound due to spina bifida. And Sheila had been talking to John for almost a year before coming out to Kansas City from California. John promised Sheila, yes.
Oh my God.
John promised Sheila money for medical bills, promised her a job. Apparently she was super stressed, because her daughter's medical bills and having to work multiple jobs. Promised her all of this. Sheila and Debbie moved from California to Kansas City, and they immediately disappeared. Nobody heard from them right after they moved. John cashed Sheila's pension checks for 7 years following.
What?
Yeah, so from 94 to 2001.
Okay, here's the thing. At this point, there's no excuse because there is tracking through the internet.
Yeah, I know.
How? That is, and to immediately go missing. Not like, hey, she's going to come live with me for 3 months, set up her storyline.
Yeah.
It's like, no, bam, gone. Wow. And he has to be cashing those. Well, I guess maybe
like walking into a fucking bank or drive-through.
Yeah.
I mean, but either way, they have cameras at this time. I mean, we're talking about the 90s.
Yeah.
Late 90s and early 2000. Like, they have
I just feel like
cameras.
these are things that are so easily trackable. Even if you go back to, like, a little bit dated. Like, even if I think of, like, the most, like, going to, like, a Walmart cash center.
Right.
They still track you. What the heck?
I know.
Insane. So sad.
Crazy.
So sad.
Crazy shit.
Failure on someone's part.
I know.
I just feel like someone messed up.
On a lot of people's part. Yeah. So, both bodies were found. Obviously, he killed both of them. Both bodies were found in a storage facility in Raymore, Missouri.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, they're at 2 identified deaths, right? I know there's some missing, but like 2 actually found, or 3. So he would have been considered a serial killer at this point. So why wasn't there high alert? Like,
yeah, they didn't have him on their radar until I want to say late 99.
Wow.
Yeah, which we'll talk about here in a second. Yeah.
Oh.
I know. So 1999, he offered a job to Isabella that he met on a BDSM chat room. He also said, I want a relationship with you, but our relationship needs to be completely sexual. She was 21 years old, and she was a Poland immigrant who lived in Indiana. She moved to Kansas City. John ended up proposing to her. They filed a marriage license, but nobody ever came to pick it up, which, people now see that as suspicious. Keep in mind, he's still married to Nancy at this time. So his wife.
Does she just...
Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, like...
She hasn't talked to anybody about anything. It is so odd. And she ends up staying married to him for a little while until, after he's arrested and sentenced and stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Isabella told her parents back in Poland that she was married, but she never actually told her parents, like, who she was married to. So they didn't even know a name. They didn't have a picture. Like, they knew nothing because they were in Poland and she was home in the U.S. Well, home. It's rumored that Isabella signed a 115 item document like multiple times that was basically a slave contract between her and John. Which is just fucking weird.
We're not just talking like sexual slave, we're talking like slave.
No, like slave. Like not just sexual, but basically signed her life away over to John. Like, you have total responsibility over me. here are all of my bank accounts. I will do this for you. I will do this for you. Like, this is my contract to you.
Whoa.
Right.
This poor girl.
Super crazy. So it just kind of tells you how, like, manipulative he is.
Yeah.
And going back to, you know, those 3 words, like, brutal, and how he's just not emotional. So emotionally cold. Like,
yeah, I mean,
does not care about
I just feel like it's also abrupt. Like, it's just like bam, 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 bam. It's like, well,
it is. It's so fast.
Just deciding what you want and then just doing it. So
yeah. So signed this 115 item document saying that she was a slave, which gave total control to John. You know, controlled bank account, access, her life choices, what she wore, what she ate, what she did every day. That summer, she disappeared. So, you know, parents didn't hear from her again. None of her friends heard from her again. John, at that time, told one of his web designers for the company that he worked for that he had hired Isabella, but as a coworker, or as a worker or employee of his. But Isabella he told his employee that Isabella went back to Poland because she got deported for smoking weed. The police found her, they scooped her up and deported her back to Poland.
Got it. But no one in Poland has heard from this chick. Got it.
Nobody in Poland heard from it. The employee didn't find it suspicious by any means. But in reality, John killed Paula.
Yeah.
Like,
I also
she was dead.
feel like there would have been there would have been some sort of police record or like immigration record or
right, or deportation record, but there was none. She was dead. So her remains were found at his ranch in Lacine, Kansas. So not too far from Kansas City. Crazy shit.
Wait, when did he get a ranch?
In the 90s, he bought some land and had a trailer out there.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. So wife and, kids were grown at this time, but the wife had like her own house that they had lived in, you know, for years.
And I keep forgetting there's a family. Oh my God.
He had 4 kids. 4 damn kids.
Where does he find the time? And then he
bought some land. I know. And he bought some land out in Lacine. I forget how to.
I think it's Lacine.
Lacine, right?
I think it's Lacine.
Lacine?
Yeah.
L-A. Yeah, because it's C-Y.
Whatever the fancy way.
Lacine. You're right.
Yeah, whatever the fancy way would be, it's the opposite of that because we're in Kansas.
Yeah. So not Lacine like France. It's Lacine.
Lacine.
I think you're right. Good old Lacine.
I love Lacine. Got my bodies hidden there.
Right. Well, so he buys this ranch and he bought a mobile home, you know, and that's basically like kind of where he lived half of the time. So still in 99, you know, he's still addicted to these BDSM chat rooms, talking to many women at all times. He met a woman named Suzette. She was 28 years old and she was a nurse. She lived in Michigan and he convinced her to move to Kansas City. He said, I want you to travel the world with me. I want you to be my sex slave, but I also want you to be a caregiver for my dad. He's, you know, old and frail. And whenever we are done traveling the world, I want you to, you know, take care of my dad. And she agreed. She moved all the way from Michigan to Kansas City.
Ladies.
I know.
Don't.
I know.
Just don't.
If somebody says they want you to be their sex slave, that is a huge red flag.
Well, that and like...
just say no.
Make the man come to you. I hate to be that person. Quit traveling all these miles just to be a slave. That does not sound like a good deal whatsoever. Like what does she get out of that?
It's so crazy.
Like, I need you to
Nothing.
come here and be my sex slave, my caregiver, leave your job, leave your home, and like, in return for what?
For what? Yeah. I know. That sounds miserable.
Yeah.
Sounds like you would be sore for days.
Yeah. And then in between, you're wiping ass.
What the fuck?
Like, no, thank you.
And you're right.
No. I'm out.
Right? So Suzette's mother, in the meantime, would receive many typed letters signed by her daughter saying that she was traveling the world. However, detectives noticed, later down the road, mom didn't notice, but detectives noticed later down the road that each postmark would be from Kansas City.
Yeah, I was going to say.
None of them would ever say that they're from anywhere else in the world.
What an idiot.
Mom didn't even notice. Yeah.
What a serious idiot. Not the mom. I mean, the guy. I mean, yeah, kind of the mom too, but
kind of the mom. I mean, you would think that, like, if you get a postcard that's from France, you'd be looking to make sure it was from France.
Yeah,
not from Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, but
so again, mom didn't think anything suspicious. She's like, my daughter's just out traveling the world. And again, this is late 90s. Like, a lot of people don't have cell phones.
Right, right.
Like, you still communicate via landline. People are sending postcards.
You had to map quest shit. Like, it was rough.
Right. It was rough. So, fast forward to a little bit later in the year, John reached out to Suzette's mom and said that he couldn't find her, that she ran off from him, stole a bunch of his money, and he had never heard from her again. And Suzette's remains were found at the ranch in Kansas. So obviously we know that he killed her.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I'm just wondering where the wife and kids were during these days. But
yeah, didn't even suspect any of it. And John would often log into Suzette's email and her chat and be chatting with her friends and family, or emailing with her friends and family for years after he had already killed her, to make it seem like she was alive.
Full-time job for this guy. Mm-hmm. Full-time job.
Full-time job. Yeah. So late 1999, the FBI was involved. They had been tipped off by both Kansas and Missouri jurisdictions because, he was already in the system. John was a con man. Mm-hmm. He, stole things. But rumor had made its way that he was a serial killer. So the FBI had been tipped off by Kansas and Missouri jurisdiction. Both Missouri and Kansas just didn't have the manpower or the technology, but they knew if they contacted the FBI, they'd be able to catch him. An undercover FBI agent was supposed to pose as a female prostitute for John, because John also would partake in prostitutes as well. So an FBI agent was supposed to pose as a female prostitute for John, but freaked out and literally had a panic attack and had a bad feeling that she was going to die. So she pulled out and canceled, posing as a female prostitute.
I don't blame her. It's like he's immediately offing these people.
Oh, yeah.
So
right. Instantly.
He wastes no time.
No. And, it's said that he did have a sex addiction. So, again, he would often hire these prostitutes and be very violent. One prostitute that he had hired, her name was Teresa. She ended up being a witness in the trial, after he got arrested. She stated that she was terrified for her life because he was so violent. She thought that he was going to kill her. She said one time he threatened to kill her. He pulled out a gun. He shoved it so far up her vagina that she almost passed out because she thought that he was going to pull the trigger and kill her. Oh. And he said, if you don't do what I want you to do, I will kill you. Like, and who knows what else he said, but that's all it says here.
I mean, possibilities are endless with this guy.
She was terrified. Yeah. Ugh. Like, the rage. Mm-mm. So again, like, going back to what I said, you know, about, like, Capricorns, unfortunately, like, just being brutal.
Yeah. Brutal. Capricorns, check yourself. Look yourself in the mirror every morning. Like, am I okay?
Yeah, and say in the mirror, I am nice. Yeah. I am not brutal.
Yeah. We are all good in the hood.
Yeah. So fast forward to the next year, spring 2000. John met his next potential victim. Her name was Vicky. She was a prostitute. He wired her money, met her on a BDSM chat room, wired her money and told her to meet her at a hotel room in Overland Park. So right outside of KC.
Yep.
The FBI and the police heard of this situation. Somehow they were monitoring him in these chat rooms. The police were next door to John's hotel room. They heard Vicky get there. They heard them having sex. They heard all the rough noises and her saying no and stop. And like Vicky didn't know that the police were there, but they knew what was going on. They had him on like battery charges and hiring a prostitute, but it wasn't good enough. It said that they were kind of waiting to see if he would kill her so they could catch her.
Yikes.
Yeah, because they didn't have any evidence. They didn't have any evidence of him actually being a serial killer, so they needed evidence. So,
man, I just feel like with all of the people that have gone missing and his, you know, association and then the checks and he's got a ranch and I just feel like there's so much, but I don't know.
There's so much. Yeah, all the dots like connected. At the end of the day, I mean, he should have been arrested a long ass time ago. So she kept saying no, kept telling John to stop. When he finished and when he was done with her, John left her alone in the room for days. He told her not to leave. He rented the room for days. He ended up, though, sending Vicky back home to Texas, which is where she came from Texas to Overland Park. Apparently, he said he was going to give her a lot of money. He didn't. Just gave her enough money to get back to Texas. Funny thing, not really funny, but kind of funny. She brought $700 worth of sex toys so they could use them. And he ended up keeping the $700 worth of sex toys, which we'll hear a little bit about that in a second.
Wait, if the police were scouting this out, why didn't they like go in and help her when he left?
Because they wanted, from what I read, they wanted him to kill her so they would be able to catch a serial killer.
Wow, that's kind of a shitty move, but okay. And he had to have had some sort of like feeling that he was being watched for him not to kill her.
Right, not to kill her. Yeah, you would think.
Wow.
You would think. Right.
And he's like, and I'm keeping these as a souvenir.
These are mine. So a couple of days later, he hires a woman named Gianna. She's another, sex worker, meets her in another BDSM chat room. She was an unemployed accountant from Texas. All these women are from Texas, which is just strange.
Yeah.
She was an unemployed accountant from Texas. She did the same thing. So she goes to Overland Park. He gets her a hotel room for a couple of days. They have sex. He's very violent with her. Gave her enough money to get back home. she was actually kind of scared, and she ended up calling the police, telling the police of the brutal attack of what had happened. At that time, again, this is only a couple of days after Vicky calls the police because she wanted to report $700 worth of sex toys stolen. Not that she had been raped or brutally assaulted.
Vicky.
She was mostly worried about her fucking sex toys.
Vicky, I was rooting for you. Vicky, I was worried about you.
Yeah. She then,
oh my
from what I read, she ends up saying like something, like I think she found out like who he was and how he was a serial killer or whatever. And from what I read, she had said something like, yeah, you know, our engagement wasn't the most polite. He was pretty brutal or something like that. So,
bitch, they were waiting on you to die. She was
mostly worried about her sex toys.
They were going to use you as an example.
I know.
Oh my God. I need to report 700. I just can't even imagine making that phone call.
Yeah. Can you imagine like dialing 911 being pissed? $700 worth of my fucking dildos
dialing
were stolen.
911 wants your emergency. Yeah. No.
Right?
No.
I know. So, June 2nd, 2000, his mobile home was raided. They had enough evidence to go and serve a search warrant in Lacing, Kansas. They found 5 chemical barrels with body parts in it. They also found other pieces of evidence, including blood, proof of the forged adoption papers.
That's the worst.
It was a copy of the adoption papers from Lisa and her daughter Tiffany to his brother, as well as contracts to 2 storage units in Raymore, Missouri. So whenever the police went to search the storage units in Raymore, Missouri, they found remains of some of the women.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's so sad.
Yeah. So was it from this last woman, the last prostitute, that's what gave them enough evidence? Or was it just kind of like they finally built the case and they were like...
No, that's what gave them enough evidence to go ahead and get the search warrant to go and search his home.
Damn.
They had already had him on battery, and obviously from Vicky calling in reporting stuff stolen from him, they had that as well in the search.
Okay, that actually makes sense. So hilarious and not hilarious as it is, that makes sense. Okay,
right. So, all of the women that were murdered, they all died the same way. 1 or more blows to the head with a blunt object.
Wow.
So, and it's crazy because every single one of these women, before he murdered them, were in a relationship with him.
Like, oddly in a relationship. Like, in a weird instant message... but then get here in your dad relationship.
Right.
Wow.
It's crazy. So, that's why, and I'll read a quote, later in the story, but that's why they think, we only know of 8 confirmed bodies. But that is why they think there are 30 to 40 women because of the rage, because of... him being emotionally disconnected and emotionally cold.
Well, and how he could go so long without them being discovered. So if he could get away with forging some of these things, 80s, for
almost 20 years,
then who's to say that there aren't more out there that he didn't, mess up and get caught on? So,
right. And we know, Oklahoma, Kansas, we know Missouri. There's a shit ton of places where you can hide a body.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Especially if you're out on a ranch and you've got nothing but time.
Yeah.
So that's terrifying.
Right.
Yeah. It's so sad.
Right. Mm-hmm. So in 2002, he was convicted of murder in Kansas on Lisa. She was, the mother with Tiffany. So he was convicted of murder on Lisa, Suzette, and Isabella. Received a life sentence and a death sentence. He was also convicted of kidnapping Tiffany the baby, and interfering with custody of her, sentenced to 20 and a half years for that. In October 2003, he was convicted of 4 other murders. Basically, John knew there was minimal evidence linking him to the murders of Lisa, the mom, and his other victim, Paula. So he kept fighting to overturn these convictions, even though he already knew that he was going to spend life in prison or die in prison. He's still like trying to fight and manipulate whatever he can do because he's always right. His attorney, Chris Koster, tried to get a plea deal for John, which he should have taken, but John denied it. And he ended up finally acknowledging that there was enough evidence to convict him of the murder of Paula, Catherine, Beverly, Sheila, and her daughter, Debbie, the daughter who had spina bifida. And he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for each murder. This was in 2003. In 2005, Nancy finally divorced his ass after 41 years of fucking marriage.
What the fuck, Nancy?
Nancy, what the fuck?
How is there any ounce of love or mercy or grace? I mean, whatever. Can't judge. Never been in that situation, but that's insanity.
Apparently, from the only thing that I found was she said, and the kids said, that he traveled a lot for work, and they just suspected he was gone, working.
Wow. And I'm guessing he had money to send.
Because he was stealing all this money from these
and
women.
A lot can be covered up with money as far as like, okay, well, hey kids, look at what I brought you. Look at all this nice stuff. Like, did you miss your old dad? Like, I hate it.
Right. So, in 2006, Lisa's daughter, Tiffany, that was her name at the time. She now goes by Heather. She sued the Truman Medical Center in Kansas City and a woman named Karen Gaddis. Now, this is a crazy story. Karen was a social worker for her mom, Lisa, for Tiffany's mom, Lisa. She had placed Lisa at a shelter in Kansas City, and Karen also knew John.
Shit.
Yeah. So the suit accused Karen of putting John in contact with Lisa and the newborn daughter in 1984 because Karen, sorry, I got lost. John told Karen that he was running a charitable organization for unwed mothers and white babies. He was looking for women to help with this nonprofit organization.
Yep.
Right? To give them money and to give them jobs and all of that. Karen gave John Lisa's information, told him which shelter she was staying at, all of the details. So she won this suit in 2007. Good. The hospital reached a settlement, right? And she won the suit. She also won a second suit preventing John from being able to profit off of any future story because Heather, the daughter, either wants to write a book or sell, something to get a movie or something about the story of her mother, and won a second suit preventing him from being able to profit off of any of that.
Thank God. Oh my God, good for her. And you know what? I don't blame her. Like, I'm sure this Karen person is going to claim ignorance to all of this.
Oh, for sure.
But this guy, we cannot forget, had a huge criminal history to start all of this. So that alone, and even the mention of, I've started up. Nope, shut up. You're a con man. Nope. You don't start up anything. So don't even go there.
No.
So, man, well, good for her. I hope that it was helpful to her and like a little bit of justice came from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I also read an interview that she had done with, I think, like Oxygen or something. An interview that Heather had done, about growing up. And she said that John was always known as Uncle John. It wasn't until, she was older, obviously, that she found out that her Uncle John was the one who killed her mother. And so she was raised, by his brother, and that's her dad.
Yeah.
Like she still says, this is dad and this is, my mom. And I think they've passed, if I remember correctly, like they've passed on, and they were great parents. Like they knew nothing of what John was doing, obviously, but it's just so crazy that she knew him as Uncle John, and he killed her mother.
And it's even hard.
And I've said killed like 3 times.
It's even hard to kind of blame them. I mean, I think there's still blame in trusting a guy like him.
But they didn't know.
I mean, it's like, are you going to question just every last little thing? Now, the Karen thing, if you're like a coworker or an acquaintance, yes, question everything. But like the family, they've got this, you're desperate, they've got this great opportunity for you. Like, that just kills me for them.
I know. And they were so desperate, and they're like, they wanted a baby so much, their blinders were on.
Yeah.
And that was kind of something that I had seen, I saw the actual document of, the adoption paperwork, and he had messed up the name too. Like you can tell it probably wasn't real, but they didn't think what had happened actually.
Well, and he's so great at online communication. Who knows? He could have thrown in fake emails and fake communications with this agency. Like, you just don't know.
Oh, he did. Yeah, and he had signed, the paperwork. He signed as a judge, and he signed as a lawyer, and he signed as witnesses, and all this shit. And there were even fingerprints of the baby, so of Tiffany, now known as Heather. There were fingerprints of her and of the fucking mother.
Oh my
And so,
God.
like, it looked legit, other than, the name kind of being messed up. It looked legit. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. Wow. Crazy. So, fast forward, 9 years later, November 2015, the Kansas Supreme Court vacated the murder of Lisa, so mom of Tiffany, and Suzette due to technicalities with evidence. However, they upheld the conviction of Isabella, the Polish girl, and obviously he continued with the death sentence. But it said that Lisa and Suzette, the technicalities due to evidence, the body fragments that they found, this is what I read, the body fragments that they found weren't actually to their bodies. So still to this day, they've never found their bodies.
So it was someone else's body.
Someone else's body, unidentified.
Oh, shit.
2. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, my God.
Yep.
What a monster.
I know. Such a monster. So he's still on death row. He's in good old El Dorado, Missouri. El Dorado Correctional Facility. Missouri and Kansas police state that there are so many long stretches of time with unaccounted time frames with him. So they said, and quoted, he's maintained secrets about what he's done with these women. He will never, ever tell a detail. It's the last control that he's got. So there are probably other barrels waiting to be opened. Other bodies are waiting to be found.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah.
Did you know about him before you did research?
No. I had never ever heard of him.
I mean,
90s. Yeah, 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Wow.
I was talking to my mom about this, and I was like, do you remember this guy? She's like, oh, yeah. It was huge. It was all over the news.
Oh, I bet.
All over the news. I'm like, well, shit.
That is insane.
That's crazy.
Wow. Well, great story. Holy cow.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was shocked.
Speaking of news story, not to just completely change the subject, but before I forget, there is like an 8-part series on the BTK killer. You can find it on, I think it's like Hulu Plus Live. It's not just normal Hulu. Or if you have like YouTube TV. Anyways,
okay.
I'm pretty sure it's just called BTK Killer. But it is so good. We just watched it. A lot of these things remind me of him because he was a he was a family man and just so like unalarming, like just basic ass person. So highly recommend that. We watched it on YouTube TV. That's where it's free. I don't know about Hulu Plus and all that stuff. So wow, great. And so finishing up with that, kids never talked about it. Mom or wife never talked about it.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy
They're
shit,
probably like in hiding.
Yeah. Crazy shit.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. That is John Robinson, folks.
Wow. John Robinson or John Osborne. Or what was his alias name?
Josh Osborne.
Wow.
Or the Slave Master.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So crazy.
We're back in the groove of things, guys.
We are. We are back in business.
I don't have our patrons pulled up at the moment.
I got it.
I was going to say, if you've got your document pulled up.
Yep, I got it. So we want to, of course, always thank our patrons, Justin, Annette, Adrian, Nick, Valerie, Haley, and Angie. It is because of you all that we can keep recording. So thank you so much.
Yes.
And then, do you want to thank our sponsor?
Yeah, way to go, Color Up CBD, for giving us this glowing, luscious skin. So their website, colorupcbd.co. No, shit.
Colorupco.com.
God, that's what it is. I knew I was going to mess this up. Colorupco.com, all lowercase, use Sinister20, get 20% off.
Yes.
It's great for these winter months. You can get skincare,
yes.
dog care,
dog care, you care,
me care, we care, we all care. So they're awesome. You can follow them on Instagram at ColorUpCBD.
CBD. You're terrible.
I just second guess as I'm talking. So, anyways, well, guys, we will.
And use
Sinister20.
Our discount.
I said it.
You didn't say
all
that.
lowercase, Sinister20.
Okay, well, I didn't hear that. Use our discount code to get 20% off.
Yeah, use it. When you use that code, just so you guys know how this works, it shows them that we sent you there. And also, you get 20% off. So use it.
Yeah.
So, duh. So, well, we will see you guys next Tuesday.
Next week.
All right. Be good.
Stay sinister.
Take your cold meds.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.